So, did Clair, Obscur, Expedition 33 deserve Game of the Year of 2025? Hell freaking yeah, it did. Even though I'm almost a year late to this game, it was worth it and one of those ones that lives up to the hype. In an era flooded with vast amounts of AAA titles, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 emerged in 2025, not as a blockbuster behemoth, but as an artistic triumph, a game that weaves innovation and creativity with emotional depth. It did not merely entertain, it resonated. From its layered protagonists to its rich world building, from its daring combat to its narrative heart, Expedition 33 didn't just compete for Game of the Year, it redefined what that award would celebrate. At the emotional core of Expedition 33 lies its characters, flawed, vulnerable, and undeniably human. Where some games treat narrative as an afterthought, Expedition 33 places it front and center, crafting personalities and arcs that feel lived in and real. The Desande family are the epitome of complex. Each member holds on to grief, showcasing how it affects everybody differently. Let's start with the paintress, or better known later on as Eileen, the wife of Renoir and the mother of Clair, Verso, and Alicia. She's stricken by the same grief as the rest of the family members, which was the death of Verso as a result of him saving his sister Alicia from a fire due to the fault of the writers. But she entered into a long state of denial, thus living in the canvas. Versos, to be specific, in which her memory of him can be preserved and in which she has complete and total control over most things here. Renoir, affected by the same grief, spends the remainder of his life trying to pull his wife out of the canvas and bring his family back together. It's funny, at the beginning of the game, you go from outright hating his guts, and rightfully so, from slaughtering the vast amounts of your expedition, killing Gustave, and constantly getting in our party's way, to completely understanding him and feeling sorry for him come the end of the game upon learning of his family's history and their tragedies. While Eileen reflects denial, Renoir mirrors the aspect of bargaining, stopping at nothing to bring back his family. Although he's seen as a bad guy, he just wants his family to be together and face their grief, which was Verso dying so that they could finally move on. He became my favorite character by the end of Act 3, easily. Now, let's talk about Clair. We see the least of her in the campaign, but you learn more of her through the lore of the game. I didn't play through the extra content, so most of what I know about her is off of Reddit and other sources off the internet. Clair is the eldest child of the Sunday family and the most reasonable and harsh one too. She's so pragmatic that it comes off cold. She cares for her family, but she has different methods and views on how to take care of them. In the real world, from inside the canvas, Renoir states that Clair is fighting a solitary war. She's fighting her battle against the writers alone, while the rest of her family is in the canvas, fighting their own battles. I also found out that the painted version of her is her mum's creation, but she hated it, so she painted over it, and that version of her is responsible for the Nevrons that we see in the game. On top of making her painted self a Nevron factory, she also made that version's lover, Simon, do her bidding, kill an Axum, which was meant to represent her that she hated, and then after granting Simon with godlike powers, she turned him into a mind-controlled guardian and trapped him within the abyss. Dear goodness, talk about some messed up things. How grief affects us is one thing, but then how we react to it is up to us entirely. Alicia, the youngest in the family, is constantly blamed for the death of her older brother. Verso was maimed by a fire that scarred her face and her throat, robbing her of her ability to speak. So she just wants to live in this canvas as Maëlle, where she actually gets to live instead of merely exist. Even when you view Maëlle's ending choice, it's one of the most saddest things, because you're willingly choosing to live in this fantasy land, knowing that it's false, and that you're merely running from the pain on the other side of that truth. It's one of those things that you can't really fault these characters for. They were all struck by the same tragedy and had different ways of coping and dealing with it. It was less of who's wrong and who's right, and more about what would you do honestly in this situation. Now, let's talk about the missing piece of this puzzle, Verso. The story centers around him just as much as it does Maëlle. However, the Verso we've come to know by playing the game isn't the real one, but a painted version made by the paintress with his memories and traits intact in order to preserve her memory of him and to further delay her pain. Throughout the game, you can tell that he's constantly hiding things from you, but it's more of a matter of what is it that he's hiding. But as the game progresses, it becomes more abundantly clear, and for good reason. And come the end, his choice was the one that I went through. Because while I would have loved to live in this make-believe La La Land, it would have meant allowing that cycle of grief to continue and not putting it to rest. Seeing both the painted Verso and little Verso, the real one, fade away and finally get to sleep was truly beautiful to witness. As for our expeditioners, they make wonderful characters and party members. Everyone from Mael all the way to Obscur. Lune is wifey, and I adore her commitment to the mission and her curiosity about learning new things, such as when she saw Noko the Gestural. She's a strong, intelligent woman who is also independent, and movies and TV shows could learn a thing or two from how to write a woman like her. What makes her amazing are her traits, and it isn't based on her gender or putting men down. And normally with a character like Lune, writers tend to make them insufferable by announcing what a good service they're doing to everyone else. She's easily top 3 characters for me next to Renoir, and man is she gorgeous. And that's just a cherry on top. CL is like the nurturing, motherly figure who manages to see more of the good in everyone and all situations. A moment that showcased this was when the group found out that Verso hid his connections to his father, Renoir. Lune is rightfully pissed, but CL understands why he did what he did, and even later says that she would have done the same if it brought back her husband. On top of that, her dialogue at the campsites is oftentimes playful, showing more than one side to her and showing another aspect to her being a woman other than just simply being kind. Monoko is so hilarious and honest that it's refreshing. He just loves to fight and collect his Nevron feet. Just a chill guy. SK feels the most tropey and most like a RPG/JRPG character with how whimsical he is. But this makes sense once you realize that in the real world, he's Verso's toy and ties into the comfort he brings everyone. The combat in this game is easily the best aspect of it. The story took a little bit of getting into for me, but the gameplay hit the moment I got my chance with it, despite getting my behind whooped constantly. Combat in this game is truly about understanding your enemies and encourages players to read patterns, exploit weaknesses, and engage strategies. Because despite being turn-based, Expedition 33 merges that with active combat in a way that is so satisfying that it is lovely. This is done by having you input QuickTime mechanics with corresponding buttons/keys to maximize damage and healing, while also doing the same with a parrying system that will test your limit. Things that helped me in YouTube comment sections were to parry at the same time the boss was to attack you, as if you were also attacking them, and to listen to the audio cues more than the visual cues. Because every player knows that feeling of being betrayed by enemy wind-ups and pump fakes constantly. This adds a whole new dimension to turn-based combat, making it feel alive, and in turn causing the player to ponder on what course of action to take next would be best for their party members. Can we also talk about the music, y'all? Few games in recent memory have married sound and story as seamlessly as Expedition 33. The soundtrack is phenomenal and breathtakingly beautiful. One of my friends who knows I love the Persona series, with Persona 5 Royal being my favorite game of all time, said that this music was better. And honestly, I can't fault him for saying that. They're both on the same level for me, but in different ways. Persona 5 Royal caters more to my anime taste in music, but Expedition 33 caters more to my taste in orchestral music. I really love how beautiful it is and how the songs beautifully reflect certain characters like Monoko, Une Vie Artemia for Renoir, and We Lost, which is a fitting title for Simon. I love when games treat music as an integral part of it and weave it in flawlessly, as opposed to treating it like a backdrop or an afterthought. If you love music in general, then please do yourself a favor and listen to the soundtrack, because goodness gracious, is it amazing. In a fantasy setting populated by myth and mystery, it would have been easy for dialogue to lapse into grandiose expedition. Instead, Expedition 33 offers realistic, grounded speech that feels rooted in personality and not trope. Characters don't speak in monologues, they interact. They contradict. Humor emerges organically. Grief doesn't announce itself with trumpets. Seeps like cold air into exchanges that once held warmth. The dialogue system enhances immersion by letting players choose responses that feel true to who they are playing, heightening identification with the characters' psychological landscapes. The world of Expedition 33 feels lived in. Its lore isn't confined to the previous voice notes of the past expeditions, but is embedded within the environment, in relics, in archaic murals, and in the very mechanics of the realm. The setting is a beautiful mix of cultures, intriguing forces, and ancient beings. For those who love discovering connections, the lore offers layers of discovery where every scent deepens understanding of both world and character. And what is a game without its super bosses? It's so beloved that there's dedicated people to beating all of them and uncovering their lore, both in the base game and in the DLC. While I haven't fought against any of them yet, it's intriguing watching people's attempts at it and the collective enjoyment everyone has of the process, whether it be on Reddit forums or YouTube shorts or IG reels. It's a wonderful thing to see. The other aspect of this game, which I've deliberately left for the end, was how this was all made by such a small team. Fans say it was 30 people and others say there were more, but to me, it's all the same. Seeing all the love poured into this game, reflected in its music, themes, characters, gameplay, and more, shows what is possible when you have a dedicated team of people with the same vision to make an amazing product. Sandfall Interactive did their thing here, and I can't wait to see what they do in the future. Thank you guys for watching. This was truly a joy to play through this experience of a game and to write this for y'all. Play this if you haven't already. Until next time, this is Black Sugar 11 out.